Last year we reviewed the Snapdragon X powered laptops, which is the Plus and the Elite specifically, which were interesting in its own way. I'll just put it at that. And this year they announced a new processor adding to the lineup, and it's actually a base level processor, which felt really weird. But anyways, we got to check out this particular processor in the ASUS Vivobook S16 S3607Q, ran some performance tests, and we tried the laptop, and we're going to share our thoughts and opinions in this video. So let's just dive right into this one, and you're watching The Adventures of Vesper. Now obviously we're going to talk about the laptop first before we get into the performance, and this particular laptop that you're looking at is the 16-inch version. Now this 16-inch is absolutely big. It's so big. The 16:10 aspect ratio display with the OLED panel is a treat to use on a day-to-day basis, and because you now have a 89% screen to body ratio, it gives you a really nice immersive experience. In terms of resolution, you're looking at a 1920x1200 resolution display. Now there is a 4K version of this laptop, but it's not available in Malaysia, so you're pretty much stuck with this 1920x1200 ratio. Now the 4K panel would produce better pixel density, but I feel like having this particular display is not bad either in this Vivobook S16, because it keeps the laptop a lot more affordable, which I'll get into later. Now this big display has a decent color, and it's an OLED panel, so you're going to be very happy with the colors that it produces. And if you like multitasking, especially on the go, because it's a 16-inch display, you have a lot more space to be able to multitask and set your windows however you want. Now the display isn't the only thing that's big with this laptop, because the trackpad, which is big as my hand, and it also runs the Windows Precision drivers and gestures, so the trackpad is going to satisfy a lot of users out there, and I must say this is genuinely a good trackpad, so you're not going to be disappointed. Now the keyboard is great as well, because you do get a full-size keyboard with a number pad on the side, which is great for people who like to do productivity centric tasks, which is this laptop is generally aimed at. Now the keys are evenly spaced out, and the key travel is rated at 1.7 millimeters, which is a decent key travel for a nice typing experience on a laptop. Now for those who love the right control button, well, those days are behind us, because now you get the Copilot button instead, which works okay. Now for the kind of users that's going to be getting this laptop, you're probably going to need more ports than your usual just USB Type-C type of situation, and this laptop does have a decent selection of ports. So you have two USB 4 Type-C with 40 gigabits per second speed, which also doubles as charging port, so you don't really have to get a dongle, but if you want to, you can still get and make the most use out of this USB Type-C port. Apart from that, you still do have two USB 3.2 Type A Gen 1 port, a HDMI, and a audio combo jack. Interestingly, they have not included a micro SD card slot, which we usually see in the Vivobook. Now, if you want to talk about the build quality, we will address that as well, because for those who are not familiar with Vivobook's build quality, especially in this case the S16, we're going to give you a quick gist. The laptop is made out of a combination of metal and polycarbonate, which is alright. It does get all the military standard 810H certification, and for a 16-inch laptop, if you're worried about the weight being over 2 kg, well, don't worry, because this one weighs about 1.74. It's almost 2 kg, and the laptop is pretty thin to lug anywhere you go. So if you're gonna look for a slim and relatively light-ish 16-inch laptop, this is what you're looking at. Now I am a fan of the clean look this laptop features. Something is of importance to a lot of users who don't want a flashy laptop in the boardroom or in the classroom for that matter. Now another good news is that the long overdue Copilot Plus experience on the Snapdragon powered laptop is finally here. Oh my god. One of the biggest delayed features parked under the Copilot experience. This was the wow factor when they announced the ARM laptop, and Microsoft chose to delay these features like so long, and in fact some of the features that we try here are still in beta mode, so you need to take note of. Now the features that we all know is the Paint generative edit, studio effect and such, which is actually cool. You can find it in existing Snapdragon X laptop, but the feature I really want to talk about is the Windows recall, which I finally got to try, and I have a bunch to share here. Now, the Windows Recall is a feature that captures snapshot throughout your use, which you can scroll back through timeline to find out what it was. This is probably the closest thing we will ever get to time travel. This feature is great, and it's useful in the sense that there were moments like pin tabs on my Chrome are completely gone and I could trace it back, so that's nice. And that's just not all, because you can do a bunch of tasks like copying text, linking to websites, videos, and so on, and even saving it as a screenshot. Now, it works great, but I do notice that the recall feature omits sensitive information, and if you do spend time like in incognito for reasons, it doesn't capture any of those. Now, privacy is obviously a concern when you talk about features like this, and Microsoft has definitely added a security layer to this recall, which you can either use a PIN to access or via Windows Hello. I would suggest setting up the latter. Now, honestly, I feel like not many people would use this, but it is worth trying if you do have these Snapdragon laptops. Now, finally, we're going to move on to the most important thing, which is the performance and the endurance of this laptop. This is where things gets a little bit weird, because the Vivobook S16 is powered by the newer but the base level Snapdragon X processor, which was released in January. And no, this is not the Plus, and it's not the Elite. So I'm going to be more specific. This is the X1-26-100 processor. Now, compared to all the other Snapdragon processors we have tried, this one is not just entry level, but it's also a basic processor that's pitted against the Intel U series, for instance. Now, this processor offers 8 cores. You have like 1.7 teraflops GPU and a 45 TOPS NPU. Now, this is far less powerful than the X Plus with an 8 core, which is also an 8 core processor, but you get like higher GPU and higher NPU. Okay, now this made me wonder, why does this processor even exist? Because it's a very productivity centric or productivity oriented processor, but with an NPU you can do those generative edits, all these AI features that they talk about. But apart from that, based on the benchmarks we did, you can actually see the scores here comparing to our X Plus and the Elite. This laptop is just good for your everyday productivity task, which is basically work, and if you're a student, you're going to enjoy the heck out of it because it's really good for your classwork. That's about it. And this is why I need to emphasize again, this laptop is extremely beneficial among students, because not only the performance is just enough to get your work done, but it is an endurance champ, because something about the Snapdragon processors, they are absolutely amazing when it comes to battery life, and you have this big display, and if you're going to use it for studies and entertainment, you're going to be very happy with it. Gaming, especially among students, I think right now a lot of people tend to play with the mobile these days, or since they're busy doom scrolling, I doubt they have time to game either. But if you want to push it past the productivity and venture into like editing content and such, I would suggest reconsider this laptop, because I feel like the x86 powered laptops, which is your usual AMD and your Intel processor powered laptops, have a better and wider selection of application support. Now, battery, we're talking about a 70 watt-hour battery under the hood. This is the best thing about Snapdragon laptops. And I've actually used this laptop 4 to 5 days straight without this laptop dying on me, with an average of 6 hours of use on battery. And because it uses the USB Type-C to charge, you could even charge it with a power delivery battery bank. The Vivobook S16, or more specifically the S3607, only comes with this one configuration, which we reviewed here in Malaysia, and the price is 3,699 ringgit. Now, forget about the Snapdragon X element for a moment. When you look at this laptop, right, it's great. The display is good, the keyboard's great, trackpad, and the fact that this is a prim and proper Windows laptop is fantastic. And of all that, right, combined together to give you a laptop under this 4,000 ringgit, and more specifically getting a 16-inch laptop under 4,000 ringgit, is not easy to come by. You can get some of the 16-inch laptops in the market, but they all come with some sort of caveats. Now, add the Snapdragon X processor into the equation now. Now, this is the laptop's caveat. But here's my question. Can I work on this laptop? Yes. Can I consume my entertainment content? Yes. If that's really what I want a laptop for, then this is what really the laptop is for. Because when I look at this laptop, I feel like students are really going to get the best use out of this, because they're going to enjoy this laptop for their classwork, coursework. If you start your class from 9 to 5, the battery is going to last the entire day. And for work, it is a good laptop again, but only if your work requirement revolves around like right to moderate demanding task. For students, it's really no brainer, and I would say just go and get it. If you really want a laptop that lasts the entire day in your classroom, you can get your assignments done, you can do your learning module and all that. I mean, that's a win in my books. Alright then, thank you so much for watching this video. This is a quick one. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We will catch you guys in another one, and I'll see you then. Bye.